A finance client of ours landed CBS News within 2 weeks of starting their PR campaign. Not because they had a better story than anyone else in their space, but because their PR team already had the relationship with the people who book that segment. That wasn't a fluke. It was the result of a process that turns you from someone pitching journalists into someone journalists are calling. I'm going to walk you through why the visibility tactics most founders rely on are keeping them invisible, what it means to become a source in 2026, the pivot that determines whether a journalist ignores you or picks up the phone, and why a handful of strategic emails will outperform 500 cold pitches every time. We've run this with client after client at our firm, and the pattern is always the same. Here's a situation I hear about constantly. A founder is up at midnight, typing their own name into Google, and there's nothing. Then they type in their competitor's name, and there they are in Forbes, Business Insider, on a podcast you've never been invited to. The question that keeps them up isn't how do I compete with their product? It's why are they visible and I'm not? So the instinct kicks in. Post more on LinkedIn, boost the ad spend, sign up for conferences. Those moves feel productive because they generate activity, but activity and visibility are two completely different things. LinkedIn keeps you in front of people who already follow you, and paid ads put you in front of people who know they're being sold to. Conferences connect you with people already in your orbit, and none of those put you in front of a journalist who writes for the audience you're trying to reach. The visibility that changes your business isn't visibility to your existing network. It's visibility to the media, and journalists don't discover founders through LinkedIn posts or conference panels. They discover them through their own network of trusted sources. There's a reason certain founders keep showing up in the press month after month while others can't buy a single mention. Those founders aren't pitching harder. They've become something more valuable to a journalist than a pitch. They've become a source. A source is someone a journalist relies on for expert commentary, informed perspective, and usable quotes when they're working on a story. Not a lucky one-time interview, but an ongoing relationship where the journalist knows they can reach out and get something valuable on deadline. In 2026, with newsrooms running leaner than they ever have, reporters need people they can trust to show up, respond fast, and say something worth printing. The shift happens when journalists start reaching out to you instead of the other way around. A story breaks in your industry and the reporter already has your number. You go from chasing coverage to attracting it. What makes a source valuable comes down to three things. Reliability, meaning you pick up the phone and respond within hours, not days, and when a journalist needs a quote by 4 p.m., you deliver by 3. Relevance, meaning you can speak to what's happening right now in your industry, not just what about your company does. And depth, meaning you give the journalist context and perspective they haven't heard from the other 5 people they called. A good PR team builds this by interacting with the same journalists repeatedly across multiple clients, responding to commentary requests on breaking stories even when there's no immediate payoff, and delivering reliable experts consistently so that when they bring a new client to that journalist, trust already exists. Most founders pitch journalists on what they do, but the founders who land press pitch what the reporter's audience needs to hear. The gap between those two things is where most PR campaigns go nowhere. Journalists don't write stories about companies. They write stories about trends, problems, and shifts, and your business is one data point inside that bigger story. The pitch has to position you as the expert who speaks to the larger conversation, not the founder who wants to talk about their product. The way you find that pivot comes down to 3 questions. What is my client talking about? What can they talk about beyond that? And how does either of those connect to something trending in the news right now? If you can connect your expertise to something a reporter is actively covering, you become useful to them immediately. For higher-end publications, 2 approaches work. The first is reactive, where a story breaks and your PR team moves fast to position you as someone who can comment. The second is relational, where your PR team already knows a journalist, checks in on what they're working on, and surfaces you as a fit. That second approach leads to deeper, high-quality coverage because the journalist already trusts the introduction. We had a client named Justin Draplin who built tiny homes through his company Eclipse Cottages. He pitched journalists on tiny homes and nobody cared. When our team repositioned him around housing affordability, a conversation reporters were already having every day, he ended up with over 448 pieces of coverage and more than 2.5 billion in audience reach. Same founder, same product, but a completely different angle. There are PR teams that send 500 emails a week and get nothing back, and there are teams that send a handful of targeted emails and land national television. The difference is whether the journalist already trusts the person hitting send. When a reporter gets a pitch from someone they don't recognize about a client who has nothing to do with what they cover, that's a negative signal. It tells the journalist you don't know who they are or what they write about. With top-tier outlets, those contacts were earned over years of being useful, and one irrelevant pitch can close a door that took a long time to open. Strategic outreach means knowing which reporter covers which beat, understanding what they've published recently, and bringing them something specific they can use. Every outreach has to pass one test, and that test is whether it's valuable to the reporter or only to my client. If the answer is only to my client, you don't send it. This is the piece a founder cannot replicate on their own. A PR firm that's been working with journalists for years already has the trust built. They know the reporters by name, they've delivered reliable sources on past stories, and when they bring a new client to a journalist they've worked with before, the journalist listens because the credibility is already there. Phoenix Capital shows exactly what this looks like. They're a financial services firm and we represent two of their executives. Because our team already had deep relationships with reporters and producers who cover capital markets and investment strategy, we moved immediately. Within 2 weeks of coming on board, one of those executives was on CBS News, and from there, the team landed Wall Street Journal, Forbes, and a string of other top-tier placements. That speed comes from already having the relationship with the person who makes the booking decision. That's what happens when you work with a team that's already built those relationships. At Otter PR, we're a 2-time Inc. 5000 firm, ranked number 1 on G2 and Clutch, and we guarantee media placements every single month in outlets like Forbes, Wall Street Journal, and CNN. When you book a free strategy call with us, we build a custom plan around your goals, your industry, and the journalists who are already covering your space. The link is in the description.